The Indiana Fever just did something that nobody saw coming, and what Caitlin Clark said afterward has the entire WNBA world talking. When a 6 seed walks into Vegas and destroys the 2-time defending champions on their home court right after A'ja Wilson gets crowned MVP, you know something special just happened. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you about how Indiana pulled off this shocking 89-73 victory that has completely flipped the playoff picture upside down. Before we dive into the madness, if you're Team Fever and loving this upset, smash that like button right now and comment Fever Shock below to show your support for this incredible run. What happened in Vegas wasn't supposed to happen at all. The odds makers had Indiana as massive underdogs. ESPN analysts were already planning for an Aces sweep, and even the most optimistic Fever fans were just hoping their team wouldn't get embarrassed. The pregame ceremony was all about A'ja Wilson receiving her MVP trophy. The crowd was ready to celebrate another dominant Vegas performance, and Indiana was supposed to be nothing more than a speed bump on the way to another championship. But that's when everything went sideways for the defending champions. The Fever were dealing with a situation that would have broken most teams before they even stepped on the court. 6 players were listed as questionable or out with various injuries heading into this series. The rotation was stretched thinner than paper, and they were facing the deepest, most talented roster in the league. Sophie Cunningham was dealing with ankle issues that limited her minutes. Damiris Dantas was managing a knee problem, and several other key contributors were playing through pain that would have sidelined them in the regular season. Yet somehow, this depleted roster walked into the Fortress of Vegas and delivered one of the most shocking playoff performances in recent memory. But that wasn't even the craziest part of what went down. Kelsey Mitchell decided to have the game of her life at the exact moment when nobody was watching her. While all eyes were on Wilson's MVP celebration and the Aces championship banners, Mitchell quietly went nuclear. She dropped 34 points on 12 of 23 shooting, including 4 3-pointers that seemed to break Vegas' spirit every time they went in. She was perfect from the free throw line, going 6 for 6, and every single bucket seemed to come at the worst possible moment for the Aces. This wasn't just a good game, it was historic. No Fever player had scored over 30 points in a playoff game since 2012, and Mitchell became the first player in WNBA history to drop 34 in their semifinal debut. What made this performance even more insane was how Mitchell did it. She wasn't just catching and shooting or getting easy buckets in transition. She was creating her own shot against elite defenders, pulling up from deep with a hand in her face, and attacking the rim like someone half her age. The Aces threw everything at her, switching defenders, running double teams, trying to force the ball out of her hands, but nothing worked. Becky Hammon, who rarely gives opponents credit, admitted postgame that they simply had no answer for what Mitchell was doing out there. The reaction from Caitlin Clark tells you everything you need to know about how special this performance was. Clark, who's been carrying this team all season and dealing with her own injury issues that have limited her availability recently, posted just 2 words on social media that said it all. Kelsey, unreal. When your franchise player, the one who's supposed to be the star of the show, is that impressed by what you just did, you know you've done something extraordinary. Clark has been managing a nagging ankle problem that's kept her minutes restricted in recent games, but seeing her teammates step up like this had to give her massive confidence for the rest of this series. But here's where things get really interesting and why Vegas should be terrified moving forward. This wasn't just Mitchell going off, it was a complete team effort that exposed every weakness the Aces have been hiding all season. Aliyah Boston dominated the paint on both ends, finishing with a double-double while making Wilson work harder than she has all playoffs. The defensive rotations were perfect, the ball movement was crisp, and Indiana played with a desperation and hunger that Vegas simply couldn't match. They out-rebounded the bigger, stronger Aces team and forced 17 turnovers that led to easy transition buckets. The coaching battle was another huge factor that nobody's talking about enough. Christie Sides completely outmaneuvered Becky Hammon, making adjustments throughout the game that kept Vegas off balance. The decision to go small at certain moments, pushing the pace when Vegas wanted to slow things down, and the defensive schemes that limited Chelsea Gray's playmaking ability were all masterstrokes. Hammon looked lost at times, calling timeouts that didn't stop Indiana's momentum and making substitutions that only seemed to make things worse. What happened next in the locker room after the game might be even more important than the victory itself. Sources close to the team say that the celebration was actually pretty subdued, with veteran players reminding everyone that this was just game 1. But the confidence in that room was different, like they finally realized they belonged on this stage. The message from the coaching staff was clear. This wasn't a fluke, this was who they are when they play their game and don't get caught up in the hype around their opponents. The psychological impact of this win can't be overstated. Vegas went from expecting a sweep to suddenly questioning everything about their game plan. The home court advantage they were counting on is already compromised, and now they have to win on the road just to stay alive in this series. For a team that's been to the mountaintop before, this kind of pressure can either bring out their best or expose cracks that have been there all along. Based on what we saw in Game 1, those cracks are looking more like canyons right now. Indiana's depth, which everyone said would be their downfall, actually became their secret weapon. Players who barely saw meaningful minutes during the regular season stepped up huge when it mattered most. The bench energy was incredible, with everyone staying engaged and ready when their number was called. This is what championship DNA looks like, and it's shocking to see it from a 6 seed that wasn't supposed to be here. The national media's reaction has been hilarious to watch. The same analysts who wrote Indiana off completely are now scrambling to explain how they got it so wrong. Some are trying to claim they saw this coming, which is complete nonsense if you go back and watch their predictions from just days ago. Others are doubling down and saying Vegas will still win the series easily, which shows they learned nothing from what just happened. The disrespect toward Indiana continues even after they just demolished the defending champions. But here's the thing that should worry Vegas the most as we head into Game 2. Indiana hasn't even played their best basketball yet. Clark's injury situation is improving daily, and if she can get back to full strength, this team becomes even more dangerous. Sophie Cunningham's ankle is responding well to treatment, and having her at 100% adds another elite shooter who can stretch the floor. The chemistry is building with each game, and they're learning how to win in hostile environments against elite competition. The momentum shift in this series is massive. Indiana went from hoping to steal one game to genuinely believing they can win this whole thing. You could see it in their body language during the fourth quarter when they were up big and still playing like the game was tied. That's the mentality of a team that knows they're capable of something special. Vegas, on the other hand, looked shell-shocked and confused, like they couldn't believe what was happening to them. What makes this even crazier is that Indiana did all this while dealing with the pressure of ending a decade-long semifinal drought. The last time this franchise was in this position, most of their current players were still in middle school. The weight of history, the expectations from a fan base that's been waiting so long for success, and the spotlight of the national media could have crushed them. Instead, they used it as fuel and delivered one of the most dominant playoff performances we've seen in years. The adjustments for Game 2 are going to be fascinating to watch. Vegas has to find a way to contain Mitchell without leaving other players open, which is easier said than done when you're dealing with a team that moves the ball as well as Indiana does. They also need Wilson to be more aggressive offensively, but that's hard to do when Boston is making her work so hard on defense. The chess match between these coaching staffs is going to determine who advances to the finals. Indiana's confidence is at an all-time high right now, and rightfully so. They just proved that they can beat anyone, anywhere, when they play their style of basketball. The narrative that they're just happy to be here is completely dead. This is a team that expects to win, and that mentality shift might be the most important development of their entire season. When you combine talent with that kind of belief, special things happen. The pressure is entirely on Vegas now. They're the ones with championship expectations, the ones who were supposed to cruise through this series, and the ones who have everything to lose. Indiana is playing with house money, and that freedom is allowing them to play their best basketball when it matters most. Every possession in Game 2 is going to feel massive for Vegas because they know another loss puts them on the brink of elimination. This upset has implications that go way beyond just this series. It's changing how people view the WNBA playoffs, proving that seeding doesn't always tell the whole story. It's validating Indiana's entire season and the building process they've been going through, and it's setting up what could be one of the most shocking championship runs in league history if they can keep this momentum going. If you're as hyped about this fever run as we are, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this incredible playoff story. Drop a comment below with your prediction for Game 2, and let's see if Indiana can do the impossible and sweep the defending champions.